Hey everyone, welcome to my next video in my Operation Epic series. As I say in every video, these videos are primarily aimed toward Catholic teenagers, but of course I welcome any viewers should they wish. Just as a heads up though, you might want to search for my YouTube channel first before you type in Operation Epic in the search engine, because lately I've been finding tons of other unrelated stuff. Anyway, the topic for today's video is going to be on anticipation for the kingdom of heaven. Now, I especially say this to the young folks watching this because those of us who are high school age, or if you're like me, in your 20s, you're probably thinking, oh boy, we're probably gonna have to wait another 50 some odd years before we can get to the kingdom. That's kind of a long wait. Well, in comparison to eternity, that's actually not that long of a wait at all. And to give you an example of how perseverance is a virtue worth pursuing, I decided to give you an example. As you can see from my t-shirt, I love video games. So I decided to show you Professor Layton versus Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, my all-time favorite video game. In fact, I'm such a fan of it, I even have the receipt for it saying the day that I purchased it, which was October 29th, 2014. Anyway, nerdiness aside, little bit of background for you. This game was first announced back in 2010, and this was before the Nintendo 3DS was even released. And I said, as soon as I saw that ad, I really need to get a Nintendo 3DS. So I did, 2 years later. But the game had come out in Japan by that time, and then I still had to wait another 2 years for it to come out in North America. But boy, was the wait worth it. This game is just so phenomenal that I think I've played it at least 9 times, which is quite a lot by 3DS standards. I believe my second favorite game I've maybe only played through like twice. And really, the biggest disappointment in the game was that it had too many hint coins. But if that's the biggest thing I complain about, that's saying something about the rest of the game. But anyway, now that the game's officially been out, it doesn't feel as though the wait was that excruciating, and nor do I resent them for taking their time to bring it over. I mean, they probably had their reasons, maybe for crazy licensing purposes or whatnot. And I like to use the wait that I endured for my favorite game to say that when it comes to waiting for the kingdom of God, unlike this game where I had a few minor quibbles and like, oh man, they didn't do that as well as I would have hoped, heaven's not going to be like that. Yeah, with heaven, maybe we'll have to wait another 50 years before we knock on the pearly gates. We'll probably most likely have to go through purgatory to purge ourselves of any venial sins that remain. But once we're actually in the presence of God, that's eternity, my friends. Like, our human minds can't even wrap around the concept of eternity at this point, because it's just, we're individuals that are bound by time and space. To us, the thought of being outside of that is, it's one of those crazy abstract things that the philosophers can only dream about. So, my advice is that because heaven is going to seem like a long wait, even though it really isn't compared to eternity, my advice is to really make the most of the time that we have here on earth. I mean, it's not like we're just going to sit around and wait for heaven to show up, because we might get to the judgment day and God will say, okay, so what were some of the things you did during your time on earth? And you might say, well, I was waiting for you to come along. And God said, well, I gave you all this great stuff on earth, and I gave you a mission to undertake. Now things are kind of messed up because of that. So, to keep my advice simple and to the point, is heaven is well worth the wait, but you gotta do something during the wait. You gotta make the most of the individual talents that God has given you, just as I had discussed in a previous video. So, until then, I hope you'll get excited about the kingdom and possibly some other great stuff coming up. I know I'll certainly be talking about my next video game craze, Fire Emblem Fates, in the future, but Until then, make sure to keep up the Catholic faith, stay epic, and be prepared for Lent pretty soon. Bye!